Throughout Europe, there are countless tales of spirits and phantoms. From Ireland's wailing banshees to the headless riders of Britain, from Slavic witches to Scandinavian trolls, the old continent is alive with the whispers of the dead. But in Germany, one legend rises above the rest. She is called Die Weiße Frau, the White Lady, a ghost wrapped in sorrow, cloaked in mystery, whispered about for centuries. The White Lady is unlike most spirits because she is not tied to one village, one castle, or one grave. She wanders. Her appearances have been reported in dozens of places across Germany and beyond, from the grand palaces of Berlin to the ruins hidden in the valleys of Franconia, to lonely forest roads where travelers swore they saw her pale figure drifting across the path. She is said to be tall, dressed in white robes or a flowing gown, her face pale and empty, her presence both beautiful and terrifying. To see her is to feel at once drawn in and frozen in terror. The earliest accounts stretch back to the Middle Ages. Chroniclers described her as the restless soul of a noble woman who met a tragic fate. In some versions, she was murdered for love, betrayed by the very man she trusted. In others, she died giving birth, her screams echoing through castle halls. And in many tales, she was a mother separated from her children by death, imprisonment, or betrayal. Her grief chained her to the mortal world, and so she wanders, forever dressed in white, forever searching. What makes the White Lady especially chilling is the belief that her appearance is a bad omen. Unlike other local ghosts, she does not merely haunt. She announces death. Her arrival is a warning that someone is about to die, and nothing can stop it. In the royal courts of Germany, her presence was feared above all. The Hohenzollern dynasty, rulers of Prussia and Brandenburg, recorded sightings of her again and again. Palace guards and servants swore they had seen her figure gliding silently through the corridors of Berlin's royal castle. She did not speak. She did not touch. She only passed, leaving behind a silence that chilled the blood. And each time she appeared, a member of the family soon died. Some historians even noted that before the death of King Frederick, the Great's relatives, sightings of the White Lady were documented. Once, she was seen in the halls of Köln Castle in Berlin. A week later, Princess Elizabeth Charlotte lay dead. Another time, she was spotted drifting through Charlottenburg Palace. Days later, a Hohenzollern prince fell suddenly ill and passed. Coincidence or curse? To those who lived in fear of her, it was proof. The White Lady was death's messenger. But she does not belong only to kings and queens. In rural villages, peasants spoke of her as well. They said she sometimes appeared near wells or rivers, her long dress trailing across the water. Sometimes she lured travelers off their path, calling to them in a voice that sounded like someone they loved, only to vanish into thin air. At other times, she appeared in the homes of the sick and dying. Villagers would open their eyes in the night and find a pale woman standing silently at their bedside, her face veiled in sorrow, her hands folded as though in mourning. By morning, the dying person was gone. Legends in Franconia describe her as the restless soul of Kunigunde of Orlamünde, a noblewoman who lived in the 14th century. She longed to marry a powerful man, but her children stood in the way. According to the tale, she murdered them, some versions say with a needle through their skulls, so that she could be free to wed again. But her lover spurned her, horrified by her crime. Cursed by guilt and condemned by God, she was doomed to walk the earth forever in white, weeping for the children she had lost. To this day, people in Franconian castles whisper of hearing a woman's cry in empty corridors, a wail so sharp it cuts into the bones. They say it is Kunigunde's eternal grief, echoing through the stones. In Bohemia, tales of the White Lady take a different form. She is seen in the castles of the Rosenberg family, often in Český Krumlov Castle. There she appears holding a bunch of keys, sometimes smiling, sometimes weeping. If she wears black gloves, it means death is near. If she wears white gloves, it means a birth or wedding will soon happen. In this way, the White Lady is not always a bringer of doom. Sometimes she is a herald of change. but always her appearance shakes those who see her. What is most terrifying about the White Lady is her silence. She rarely speaks. Witnesses describe a presence that freezes them, as though time itself slows when she enters. The air grows cold, the light dims, animals fall silent, and then she is there, a pale woman gliding, her gown brushing the stones without sound. One account from the 17th century describes a soldier guarding a palace gate. He heard footsteps though the courtyard was empty. He raised his torch and saw a woman in white pass through the wall itself. She turned her head toward him, but where her face should have been, there was only a pale blur. Days later, his commander was dead. The soldier never spoke again. But not all encounters are dark. In some regions, the White Lady is a protector. Stories tell of her warning people of fires, floods, or enemy attacks. She has knocked on doors in the middle of the night, waking families who escaped moments before disaster. Yet even in these acts of salvation, she is terrifying to behold, for she reminds those she saves that she is caught between worlds, and that she sees what mortals cannot. Psychologists and folklorists have long tried to explain the White Lady. Some say she is a symbol of guilt, often tied to women who lost or harmed their children. Others argue she is a projection of grief, a way for communities to explain death in times of plague and war. The white dress is no accident. In European tradition, white is the color of mourning, of burial shrouds, and of purity destroyed. The ghost in white embodies sorrow that never ends. Yet for those who have seen her, there is no question. She is real. Travelers still report her today. In the Black Forest, a hiker described hearing weeping near a ruined tower. When he turned, he saw a pale woman vanish into the stones. In Brandenburg, a family visiting an old manor swore they saw a woman in white at an upstairs window, though the house was locked and empty. And in Berlin, night guards at Charlottenburg Palace whisper that the halls are not as empty as they seem. The White Lady has walked through centuries of German history. She has appeared in the Middle Ages, in the age of kings and castles, through wars, plagues, and even into modern times. Empires rose and fell, but she remained, always the same, a pale woman in white, moving silently where death is near. What if she is not a single ghost at all, but many? What if she is a collective echo of grief, a spirit that takes shape wherever sorrow and betrayal leave their mark? Perhaps there is not one White Lady, but dozens, each tied to her own tragedy, yet all wearing the same color, carrying the same burden of loss. And yet, there is one common thread. To see her is to feel the chill of death. Witnesses do not forget her. They remember the silence, the cold, the way her eyes, or the absence of them, seem to pierce into their soul. She does not need to speak, because her presence alone is a message. Something is about to change. So the next time you stand before the ruins of a German castle, or wander the lonely paths of the countryside, listen carefully. If you hear soft weeping in the night, or see a pale glow among the stones, you may have crossed the path of Germany's most famous ghost. And if you do, remember the stories. For the White Lady is more than a tale. She is a shadow from the past, still walking the earth. She is sorrow that refuses to die. She is guilt that lingers through centuries. And to see her is to feel the breath of death itself upon your skin.